Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper, Takedown Media. We continue our coverage of the sport. This time we head to California, where we find the actor, the director, the producer, Wayne Eric Boyd, hard at work. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Scott, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
You're also the director of operations and development as a co-founder of Titan Mercury Wrestling. The reason I'm calling today, the reason we're doing an interview, is that you produced a documentary called Blood, Guts, and Glory that's making its way around the independent film festivals, and it'll be showing in Mason City, Iowa at the Iowa Independent Film Festival. Give us an idea about what this documentary, how it came about, and why you made it.
Well, I've been doing films and television since I graduated from Temple University back in 1970, but wrestling's always been a passion, and most of my work outside of television has a lot to do with wrestling. And over the years, I've accumulated a lot of footage. Made the movie One More Shot back in the late 90s, and accumulated all these interviews with the greatest wrestlers that ever lived. So I decided to do a documentary and use some of that footage, create new footage. And over the past 3 years, I developed this 90-minute documentary that I'm proud to say is being seen now around the United States. Mason, Iowa being one of the states we submitted our documentary to, and out of 250 films, they only selected 25. And ours was one of them, and I want to thank Mike Chapman out there, because apparently the director of that film festival knew Mike and called him, and Mike gave me a good, build-up.
Okay. So the idea of this is an expose, if you will. The culture, the ethics, and the history of the sport are on display. How were you able to boil it down to 90 minutes?
Well, first thing, I involved myself with a lot of great professionals. Braden Barty, who shot the entire film and is the director of the film. And then we brought Billy Baldwin on board to be the narrator, which took it up a notch or two. And, it's all about editing. Any film, you shoot a 1 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 50 ratio. You might shoot 50 minutes to get 1 minute. And so it's been a 3-year job to put this together, and I'm very proud of it.
So effectively, the idea of the film is to tell the story of the sport, its origins, its difficulty. Gable says it best when he says wrestling's hard. It is hard, but through this film, Blood, Guts, Glory, you're able to tell that story. And is it about the life of a wrestler or people in wrestling? Is that a fair estimation?
Well, I carry the film as the star in the film, and my life has been wrestling since I was 12, 13 years old. There's never been a day, and you'll hear this in the opening of the film, that I haven't thought or done something with wrestling for 58 straight years. And I'm talking 365 days a year. And what the film really explains is the attributes of wrestling and how they contribute to life going forward. I'll tell you one thing, the characteristics of a wrestler are the greatest characteristics of any sport in the world. They develop young men. They teach you to believe. They teach you to be determined. They teach you to have perseverance. It is an incredible experience for any human being, and we build great men. Wrestling builds great men, and that is pointed out in the film. And it goes back as far as Jacob, who fought with the angel to decide, what lesson was to be learned in life. So that's pretty biblical, and I'm again in love with wrestling.
Narrated by, you mentioned Billy Baldwin. I want to go back to Braden for a minute, Braden Barty. He is the son of the well-known actor, Billy Barty, who has since passed, but one of the great small actors of all time. I was fortunate enough for you to introduce me to him. How did you get connected with Braden Barty?
I was doing a television show out in Palm Springs called Good Morning America. And I wanted somebody special to come on board and kind of work behind the camera and make that show better. So I ran an ad, and Braden Barty answered that ad. And when I found out he was Billy Barty's son, I looked at Braden, who's 6'1", and said, "This can't be," because for the audience out there that doesn't really recognize the name Billy Barty, he was what we called, inappropriately, I would say, 40 years ago, a midget.
Right.
And now they're people of small size are called little people.
Little people.
And that's a respectful way to explain their being. But Billy was one of the great actors, probably did over 150 films in Hollywood, worked with people like Tom Cruise. And, Braden would tell me stories about Billy getting up on the back of the couch because he was tall enough to talk eye to eye and say, "Hey, you're 10 minutes late. You were told to be home at 12. So Braden's a wonderful guy. He's a real filmmaker. He's worked with some of the greats, Lionel Richie, you name it. He's doing something right now with, and I can't think of the guy's name, but he's a superstar.
Oh, isn't that fascinating, though, how lives intertwine through the sport of wrestling? And that perhaps is the point. It's understandable, I think, that Billy Baldwin would be involved in a project like this because of his background and love for the sport. How did you select and end up inviting Billy Baldwin to narrate?
Well, who would have thought Billy Baldwin would be a lover of wrestling? I mean, he went to Binghamton. He had an interest. He wasn't a great wrestler, but as he became a superstar in Hollywood, he would actually, on the set, challenge people. He kicked Mickey Rourke's butt, and Rourke is known in Hollywood as one bad dude. And so Billy proved himself in Hollywood, and I got a little wind of that, and I got to see and know Billy through wrestling and his brother Alec, and we met one morning in Palm Springs where he was doing a broadcast for one of his movies, and we talked, we liked each other, and we've been working together ever since, and he's been great for wrestling, just great.
Absolutely has been. We're talking with Wayne Eric Boyd. He's the producer and the star of the documentary Blood, Guts, Glory. It'll be showing at the Blythe Theater in Mason City, Iowa, Saturday as well. So 2 days, 5 o'clock on Friday, and Saturday at 4 o'clock at the Blythe. It'll be
it's
the
just
third.
The opposite, Scott. I think it's 4 to 5 on Friday, 5 to 6 on Saturday.
Okay. All right. I'm on their website. Repeating what I'm saying here, so I stand corrected. And by the way,
wait a minute, Scott Casper, you're on the ball, buddy.
Breaking news.
Here in California.
Breaking news. It's the Iowa Independent Film Festival. Our guest is Wayne Boyd, and Wayne, I would be remiss if we didn't spend a moment or two on the very successful Titan Mercury Wrestling Club, of which you're a co-founder with Andy Barth. Recently, you hosted Kyle Dake in California, continuing to help teach kids in the outreach program with the Beat the Streets program in L.A. But Titan Mercury continues to stretch the boundaries of some of the great programs that have come before it, like Sunkist or New York Athletic Club or Gator Wrestling Club. Talk to us about Kyle Dake's experience in Los Angeles and yours with him.
Yeah, real quick, and there's a couple things following up with that I'd like to mention.
Sure.
But actually, Yarrow Washington, who runs Beat the Streets L.A., had got in touch with, Natural High. Natural High is a group out of San Diego that does wishes for kids.
Okay.
And kids' wish was to meet and see Kyle Dake. So Yarrow was instrumental there. Brought Kyle Dake, that group brought Kyle Dake to San Diego, and Kyle's manager, Nick Garone, called me and said, "Hey, we're going to be in San Diego. We'd love to come up and see you guys." It's hard to think of LA as being north of anything, but we are north of San Diego. Kyle came up. They did a clinic for Beat the Streets, finished that about 4 o'clock, jumped in a car with Yarrow, and Yarrow dropped him off at San Marino High School, which is one of the high schools we help, Titan Mercury Wrestling Club, and he did another great job there. Kyle Dake is one of the great guys of wrestling, and he's young, but he's strong, he's smart, he's got Cornell behind him, he wrestles for Titan Mercury. We're excited about this young man's future. He's got his own product lines now. Great things are happening in wrestling.
Absolutely.
Moving forward, if I could, Scott, and I know we want to stay focused here and we're running out of time, but we're getting ready for the Bill Farrell International Tournament in New York, November 9th, 8th and 9th, and some good things are happening there. And then Titan Mercury is off to Iran, possibly, to wrestle in the World Club Championships, being the only American club to attend that. So I'm excited about that. And then we got some big stuff happening commercially. There's just great things happening. We're going to start some new things this year. Exciting news. I look forward to getting back to you on some of these things forthcoming. They're going to change the sport. We're still running behind in our sport. We're still not in the Olympics forever again. We're still losing colleges. There are things that have to be done, and they will be done, and I'm excited about that. And as everybody now is beginning to work together, we're going to have a better result.
Absolutely. I appreciate...
so I hope you find that very interesting.
I appreciate the position that not only you and Andy Barth take on behalf of Titan Mercury, but obviously you're giving kids and our athletes opportunities and helping to support them financially, and we appreciate that. We want to encourage everybody to check out the website, Iowa Indie. That's INDIE, iowaindie.org. Join us in Mason City. I know you'll have some guests there, including Mike Chapman, one of the outstanding authors of our time, and a guy who's been behind promoting this sport so much. I don't think people really know how much he's done, but I understand Dan Gable may be there as well.
Dan, and hopefully Tom Brands and his family. Certainly we'll see Roy Salger, the great one, world silver medalist, one of Iowa's real brutes, two-time national champion. Love that guy.
He is a brute indeed. Blood, Guts, Glory. Our guest has been the producer and star of the 90-minute documentary that'll be one of those that'll be voted upon at the Iowa Independent Film Festival. That'll be in Mason City, Iowa. We will look to see each and every one of you there. Wayne, thank you again for all you do for the sport, and thank you for joining us today.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Scott, and for all the viewers out there and people that love wrestling, it's Blood, Guts, Glory Wrestling. Let's go wrestling. We got to get it done. Every day is the best day of your life because it's the only day you're ever going to get right now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Wayne Eric Boyd has been our guest. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott Casper from Takedown Media.